Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We are back with another video. This video is under the Fair Use Act, and the Fair Use Act is in the description box of the video as well as the About Me section of the platform. The Fair Use Act is used to educate you guys on what we are covering on this particular platform. Please keep in mind that this video and all my videos are allegedly as well as educational purposes only. Well, I decided to cover a little bit more of the Julio Foolio case. You guys have been wanting to know my opinion. People that know me have been saying, how does this make you feel? Because at a point in my life as a young child, gun violence hit my home, my brother, or whatever the case. And so I said, it be those that are smiling in your face and just unbelievable. In the event, I want to speak out about the fact that when we see different things play out and we see the end game, we see the end result of a lot of situations in court. Usually they go into the childhood, they go into the history, they go into, the family, the love, the support. And so we're going to speak on Rashad Murphy and we're going to speak on Sean Gatherite. They siblings took the stand, and they spoke out. And Sean Gatherite's sister, I believe she's like 2 years older than him, she spoke out about them being military children and traveling the world. They've been to Jamaica, like he's got a passport, like grandparent, great grandparent, mother, father, again, mother and father, but people of the armed services, whatever the case. We got Rashid, allegedly, his mom was addicted to drugs and he ended up in foster care somehow. Mm-mm-mm. Got to be more careful. I'm going to talk about Sean first because I just feel like that is an example of no matter what you have, sometimes kids can still go stray. I look at a lot of videos in the comment section, people like, he had it all. He had everything. They had money. I spoke in another video about how he's so fortunate that his loved ones asked him, is there anybody in the inside that they could bless, that they could help lighten, their need for things, or them being able to go to the pantry or whatever the case. His sister spoke about how the family, the grandmother and them, they volunteered at the local pantry so that people could come in and get, food and things of that nature when they didn't have it, right? She talked about how they would help pack the bags for people that was less fortunate. Like his family really sold into the community, as well as gave back to the country. And people are confused as to how Sean ended up around these certain spaces. We know that they traveled the world. We know he ended up with the grandma allegedly who lived, I believe, in Jacksonville and where he met these people. Again, when you have military parents, it's like as soon as you get close to somebody, you got to up and move again because they were deployed or they got to go to another country or whatever. And so these were the friends, I guess, that he was able to be around along. Went to private middle school, you know, didn't want for anything. And so sometimes people will take that person because they feel like they weak, right? He's got money, he's looking friends or whatever the case. I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but what I'm trying to break down is the fact that sometimes children are planted in a space where they have no choice but to go into survival mode, if that makes sense. I know my dad was real strict, real strict. And so with Sean, I feel like he was put into this community, a place of people, places, and things that he really never got to live firsthand because he didn't have to live like that. And he got these friends and he kind of liked what was going on. And next thing you know, he's in a world of trouble. Even with that being said, the fact that, and some people may think I'm wrong for saying this, but because you got fortunate parents, because you travel in the world, because you lack nothing, doesn't mean that to them personally they not lacking something, if that makes sense. A lot of times people tend to want to buy friendships, right? A lot of times people do things because somebody telling them not to do things. One of the things my mother always said a red flag was when you don't bring your friends home. When you ever brought nobody home to meet your parent, as far as your friends or whatever the case. Back in the days, I didn't have sleep. Well, I had people come over, but I really wasn't allowed to go nowhere because it was like we didn't know. Mommy didn't know what was going on at somebody else's house. But I'm just saying that to say that when you think of the root of things, we think of how great the parents was, how much of a provider was, and so forth and so on. But was there something lacking in him mentally that even when he realized the kind of people he was around, he still stayed around these people? Then you have Rashad. Now, Rashad was in foster care. I think his adopted mom slash aunt, um, who she said that she was his mom's aunt or something or another, allegedly. And she said he ended up in foster care, and he had been in foster care for a year or so before they was able to really reconnect. And he was in there 2 more years after that, 2 or 3 more years before the courts finally decided that they will allow her to take over or whatever the case. Come to find out, the time that Rashad was in the system, there was some abuse, and him and his brother, it was a lot going on. And I'm saying all this to say that, and I'm not saying they did, and I'm not saying they didn't, right? I'm not justifying what he did, because there's no justifying taking a life. They do say hurt people, but I stand on the fact, don't do something to somebody that you wouldn't like done to you. There's counseling, there's therapy, there's different channels, right? I feel like a lot of these young men needed some kind of big brother mentor program. And that's something that is lacking in the community today. And this is why these guys are up under people that are older than them and just doing the most, right? Following those that are older and seniors, and because they feel like, well, they older, well, they not gonna lead me nowhere wrong. And they end up in these situations. And so now the whole family is understanding, the sister and the grand and the great grand, and all these people are trying to plead for their loved one life. Foolio, his mom, going through about her child. And then someone saying, well, he wasn't no saint, he wasn't this, he wasn't that. But that doesn't give anybody the right to take his life. No more would it give anybody the right to take those men's life. But those young boys' life at the time. Got the young lady, she got a whole baby that's gonna be almost grown when she get out. You know? I'm a firm believer in counseling, therapy. I don't know with Rashid family or whatever the case, I don't know if they ever got him therapy. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think parents at some point need to take accountability, right? For the fact of getting their child help when things are all over the place, when there's just so much chaos in their face, when they just constantly witnessing all these different traumas, and then you think that because you tell them don't do this, don't live, no. When that's all you show them, how can you tell them what they should be doing? That doesn't make sense. I'm a firm believer. Take your kids to counseling, take your kids to therapy. It's up to them, how they receive it. I will say that. But even as with grown kids, I don't have a problem with telling my kids, listen, if you're struggling with something, it's okay to see somebody. You don't got to explain to the world, that you talking to somebody. There's people you can talk to that can't tell your secrets, like a therapist, counselor, something. But when they don't know or they never been introduced to certain things and they just sitting in pain, sometimes they just want to be recognized, I'm going to be known for this or known for that. Now, Rashid, he was in the interrogation room. That video, loud and clear, doing the most. But when he was in court and the person that took him out of foster care and took care of him like he was her own, she started speaking out. talking about how he had a possible boxing career, how he had a possible football career, and then he started crying. But when they didn't think that the people had as much evidence that they had, it was a joke, allegedly. The young lady laughing all the way to the end of the trial, she's still smiling. Mm-mm-mm. These guys are never going to see daylight. Their loved ones are going to visit them in jail for the rest of their days. Sean's sister, she crying. She missed him at home. They were close, and again, she was speaking about she had her baby. He came to the hospital and held the baby. You know, when she's home, he'll watch the baby while she go shower, while she go eat, get herself together. Like, people don't understand those that are as well going to be hurt and going through because of their decision. Like, both of these different stories I wanted to bring together because they're two different families, two different upbringings, and it did not matter that they got caught up in this mess. It didn't matter. It did not matter that they got caught up in this mess. It didn't matter if one had military family with money, still got money, and then you got this one over here that really been through some things, poverty wise, foster system, all kind of stuff. But somehow they all linked up. Nobody knew that something was off with their children. Now, Sean, they said he wiped the car down, took it back to Granny house, and all these different things. I don't know, yeah. I just think this is a hot mess. You know, everybody crying in court, and now they really realizing that they're never coming home. Well, neither is Foolio. Some of them, they got parents, uncles, 3, 4 generations in jail already for the M word, and now here they go. Father, uncle, child, 3 generations gone for the rest of their life. Anyway, y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Listen, watch your kids, watch who your kids hanging out with. And if you feel that is something that your child needs to seek special care, therapist, whatever, allegedly educational purposes only, don't be ashamed as a parent to do or at least offer what it is your child needs. You cannot expect your child to not be going through the emotion when you've had nothing but chaos around them and then treat them and blame them as if it's their fault. No, it's your fault. Because you decided to stay in your mess. Because you decided to keep on bringing the same stuff around. Now, Rashid and his brother, that's crazy. Because now that all this is out, it's all over the news that they was in a system and possibly sexually abused and all these different things. Those guys in there are going to treat them like, probably if they like it, allegedly. I'm sure he was dealing with some things. I'm not saying counseling or therapy could have completely changed his mind of his actions, but I'm just curious to know, did he even have the opportunity to go through that, to talk to somebody, to get counseling, to get therapy? Like, when do we not be ashamed to release some things off of our mind? When do people not be ashamed to say, oh, well, I'm going to act like it's all good, but I do know that it caused some conflict on my child. Anyway, this whole situation is crazy. Again, none of this justifies, what they did. They, they have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. But what I wanted to present to y'all, again, is the two different sides of the fence. And it did not matter. It did not matter that one had more or one had less. they both made bad decisions. Y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, love on those that love on you, and pray for the world. Peace.